Have you ever had this feeling when you have not an argument but heated discussion and you feel like your partner is getting really mad or angry and you don't know how to handle this? This video is for you. My name is Anna Ditchburn.
And I'm Laban Ditchburn.
And welcome back to Purpose Partners for Life. Every single relationship, no matter how strong they are, there is always something that you disagree about.
No, that's not true. I'm just kidding.
And it's absolutely normal. As long as you're not arguing and you're not throwing the C words or F words, every single discussion or heated argument is actually here for you to grow as a partners, as lovers. But what to do when this heated discussion is going a little bit off the way and you feel like all those emotions of anger and rage and just feeling like killing your partner are coming on the surface, especially when it comes to men? Because let me share an example. I've grown up with a very emotionally unstable stepfather, narcissist, physically and emotionally and verbally abusive. I didn't learn really how to cope in those situations. All I was doing is to shut down, stay quiet, and try to bottle up all those feelings and emotions within me. That later it manifested itself in some really not pleasant experiences as an adult.
Well, in addition to how Anna grew up, the way that I grew up as part of a broken home, there was a lot of fights and a lot of arguments. And the shying away was not something that really happened. There was a lot of reactionary things. And verbal barrage, verbal abuse was a key component of my experience growing up. So in addition to what Anna had to handle as a kid and what I had to deal with, there had to be a lot of de-learning with regards to clearly dysfunctional ways that were not beneficial or a key component to a successful, healthy, purpose partnership marriage.
Yeah. And I remember at the very beginning of our relationships, every time we would get into heated discussions, I would withdraw myself completely and try to process all those emotions internally. Whether Laban wanted to talk about this more and more, and me playing this silent game, even though it wasn't really a game, it was literally pissing him off even more. So there was a miscommunication totally and misunderstanding how we both deal with those kind of situations.
Yeah, I always wanted to try and resolve the situation, and sometimes that's not the time to do it. Sometimes you need the heat to come out of the conflict, because if I really reflect upon myself and my ego, even if I'm technically right, which pro tip, I'm not, there's a part of me that wants to get into a fight. And I will say, like, we don't have too many of these. We've been very, very good considering, all the pressures and the stress of life. So we're not saying that that we're perfect here. We're a long way from that, but we're always looking for ways to continually improve our connection, because once you say something, once it comes out of your mouth, it can't be undone. And you can only do that so many times before that's the final straw. That's the straw that breaks the camel's back.
My question to you is, what makes you angry or mad in a heated arguments or conversations?
Well, there's a few things that make me angry, and being falsely accused of something I haven't done is probably one of my biggest triggers. And I know that a lot of people watching this or listening to this will be in agreement as well. Not feeling heard or not being validated, being unfairly. And when I'm saying this from my perspective. There might be a lot of truth to what's being spoken about, but being unfairly judged. And though, like, if you're dealing with these kind of challenges, you can, and particularly when you come from an environment where you're used to seeing everyone around you in your family use horribly abusive words,
Language.
which is incredibly dysfunctional and very destructive to a woman's energy as well, and to a man's, but it's amplified in this case. So they are some of the things that, there's lots of things that can make you upset, but the way that we've been able to move forward from a lot of these is me taking the time to step back and see where there's any truth in the conversation, which has been a real eye opener for me. And if I dig deep enough, I'll often find that there's a reason why. And maybe Anna hasn't articulated it in a way that is the optimal way. And that's just a continual learning process. So it's important for me to be able to, in a calm and respectful way, maybe outside of arguments, have those conversations with you and say, you remember that disagreement we had last week? I mean, ideally we do this sooner. Uh, here's a better way to get through to me. And we've done that. Like, is there anything you can think of at the top of your head over the last 5.5 years?
I remember the situation probably a couple of years ago where I used to be very direct. Like whatever I think, I would say.
That doesn't sound like anything a Russian would say. Or Eastern European.
The content was, I had enough of you making a mess on the kitchen all the time. How can you be so horribly messy? Because I've learned to be very meticulous in the kitchen and just clean everything up.
So in for context as well, the way that Anna grew up was oppressively over the top, and there was physical and verbal abuse for like a speck of dust being found. So there was a disproportion between my upbringing. If you saw the way my mum used to cook, you'd understand where I get my thing from. And I probably end up doing the majority of the cooking. I love cooking. It's part of my love language. My wife is a beautiful cook, and I really enjoy when she cooks. But I tend to focus on the flavor and the presentation of the food rather than the the tsunami that is left behind. And I'm sure you resonate with this if you're a guy, or even if you're a woman as well, where you end up using way more dishes or way more pots and pans than what is necessary. And when I trained as a chef, I did it for a year and a half. I didn't go through culinary school and learn a Michelin style of doing it. I did it my own way, and I couldn't see what the problem was, and the frustration, the resentment that I would develop would be just relax. And for anyone that knows, if you say relax to someone that's already agitated and angry, that's like adding kerosene to the fire as well. So we had to communicate better and learn a much more effective way, and reaching a healthy compromise as well. And in doing that, it's not a perfect science, but has dramatically improved.
But tell exactly how you felt at those moments when I was telling you literally off. I remember you were sharing, you felt like, hey, I'm cooking this amazing dinner for us. What do you want from me? Share a
Yeah,
little bit
there
more
was
about
resentment and an apparent lack of appreciation. And because it's part of my love language, it's service, and food's part of that as well. So I was felt like I was doing a really nice thing, and then having it kind of thrown in my face, which was the over dramatic response. And all Anna was really saying, in not so direct terms, was this is what I'm left to clean up with. I'd rather cook the meal myself and not have to clean up the mess.
that. But what is happening, what we learned over time, is when man feels unheard or unappreciated, his testosterone level starts to go down and his estrogen level starts to go up. And estrogen level is a feminine hormone, is a female hormone, which makes him literally feel like he's unloved, he's unappreciated. What it does, it pushes him to go out and look for the love, for the appreciation on the outside if he's not getting it from his woman. And that's why very often a lot of men feel like going somewhere and drink or smoke or, just spend time with friends, or they are looking for this love and affection and appreciation from other women. That's very, very important to know. Whether for women, it's opposite. The estrogen level goes down, the feminine energy goes down, and the testosterone level goes up. And that's where we feel like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this myself. I don't need anyone. Like, he can't do anything. I'm the one who has to get things sorted out. And as a woman, I know it's not easy to stay calm in those kind of situations. And especially, Laban, you pointed a very important thing. All those reactions are coming from the past. It's like every time something happens, and instead of being proactive and work on the situation, we start reacting with the whole baggage of our stuck negative emotions from the past. And this is like the only way we learn how to deal with those things. So, as a woman, the most important thing is to just realize, okay, I can feel there is a estrogen, my estrogen level goes down, his estrogen level goes up. We swap. What can I do? The best thing is first, never look at man's eyes when he is angry, because it's like a bull on a red, what's it called? On the red,
Yeah, well, it's
on
like the red cape that
red
the
cape. Yeah, it's like a red cape for him, because if his attention is towards you, you become the point of pain for him. As a woman, discharge yourself from the situation. Go to another bedroom, go for a walk, do something, but get out of his
eye
get
line.
out
Yeah.
get out from his eye line.
Just a side note as well, this is why walking beside each other and having discussions is a really effective way of communicating. And you may not want to do it right in this particular moment in time, but if you want to have a challenging conversation with someone, whether it be your spouse or someone that you've just got something you need to talk about, go for a walk. And there's been a countless number of studies that have come back showing the effectiveness of this, because you are side by side, you're not engaging in that direct eye contact, and it's very non-confrontational.
Yeah, and we will post the link to the video where we talk about those kind of things specifically. The second thing what you can do is to discharge yourself from the actual situation and see what is in this situation that you can learn from. And for me, the biggest lesson was, do not bring all my past traumas and the way of upbringing and this crazy thinking about cleaning into my relationships. Because what I felt like is, every time I would get mad or angry at Laban for making a mess in the kitchen, I felt like I am becoming my stepfather, who was literally beating us for every drop on the floor, or for every fingerprints on cabinets or fridge. I've realized that, hey, am I the one who is actually overreacting in this situation? Am I the one who wants to carry this legacy of my stepfather into my relationships and make my husband to feel how I used to feel when my stepfather was telling me off? That was a huge realization for me. And once I've realized that, I was able to choose actually a different language for Laban if I don't like something, when he makes a really big mess in the kitchen. It's still not perfect, but at least now it doesn't go into the accusation mode. It's me being able to communicate with Laban what is important for me and what I want from him instead,
And
in a loving way. It's like, again.
and I will say that Anna's gotten really good at delivering that message to me, and then the way it's delivered, it's empowering, and it makes me want to do that. And it's not a big deal for me. It's just little things that I can tweak and improve, because it's beyond any shadow of any doubt that I have created tsunami messes in kitchens. But in the meantime, I'm going out and I'm providing and creating, building this business and doing my podcast and writing my books and stuff. And that little tweak in Anna's behavior has made all the difference in our relationship. And just another thing that you've done, maybe you're not aware of this, depending on the severity of the conflict or the argument or the confrontation, before it gets too deep, Anna has quite often just made a joke or came and grabbed me and hugged me and kissed me. And it's, how can you resist that? It's like it diffuses the situation immediately and you realize the ridiculousness of the potential conversation. So that's been a real key observation, because this is my longest relationship. My longest relationship was a year before I met her. We met when I was 38 and we're closing it on like 5.25 years now, give or take. And so I was learning new things as well. But having that open mindset to growth was really, and I've implemented that in many other areas of my life as well, and you have too. So you have to have and not be tied inextricably to, even if you were married for 10 years beforehand and you're in a new relationship, it might have worked back then in that way, but you might need some tweaking or adjustment with that new relationship. And if you can remain open-minded to it, keep that learning cap on the whole time, it'll improve your relationship infinitely more.
And the last thing, and one of the most important thing that you must do in your relationships, if you want your relationships to be deeper and more meaningful and more loving, is to forgive each other, no matter what. The forgiveness is the key to a loving relationships. Even if your husband makes a mess, or even if your husband loves to go with friends.
And the language that you can use, which has been very effective for Anna and I's relationship, is, and I will say to her, I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? And depending on how close to the argument it's been, I might get a no or a yes. But eventually you get a yes. And then it's clear. There's no simmering. I've observed this in relationships and plenty of couples that we know, that they will sit and ruminate and percolate on something, and then it'll manifest a week later when the person's done something else minor, and then it turns into this whole thing. You have to nip that in the bud very quickly. It'll alleviate a lot of unnecessary bandwidth as well.
But if there is something that you feel like you cannot cope on your own and you need some help in the relationships, we are organizing the 5 days challenge called Purpose Partners for Life, where we help couple just like you to see the root cause of your miscommunications, lack of intimacy, or whatever is happening in your life, those hidden barriers that are holding you back, and really start growing your relationships in a way that you want them to go.
This is for anyone that might have the material component of the relationship sorted and have realized that there's something just missing, and you kind of think of yourself, what's the point of all this when I don't have the one thing that I actually need? And the beauty of being involved in something like this is that we will show you the way to reconnect and refire that spark. Because what we've come to learn, and going through major adversity, being all over the world for the last few years, is that if we didn't have that thing that we're talking about and the other stuff, none of this would have mattered. We wouldn't be together. And I'm very grateful that we are, because you're the best.
Thank you, baby. And don't take each other for granted. There are so many people who are single and they cannot find their partner, their loved ones. If you feel like there is a way to save your relationships or to make it even stronger, take this leap of faith.
Yeah, if there's anything else that you want our thoughts or our opinion on, put it in the comments below, and we'd love to do our best to try and answer the relationship challenges that you are having.
All right, bye for now.